First off, I would like to introduce Senior QA at DataArt Armenia, Ivan Lobashev. Ivan, the stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. In today's presentation, I want to start with some painful points, and for this task, I need your heads and hands. So, I will list some problems which we usually have or had in our project, and the task is to bend your fingers after each point which you have or had in your project. So please, raise your hand. And the first one, does the QA team not have deep understanding of the business logic of the product? First finger, okay. The second one, the QA team is not sure they checked everything or something turns up that they haven't checked. Bend your fingers, it means do this thing. The third one, our project deadline exceeded due amount of improvements or because of inaccurate initial estimates. You have lovely projects. I already bent 3 fingers now. The first point, is it challenging to determine the potential impact of a new functionality and what areas need to be checked? Okay, and the last one, that management seemed reluctant to implement any improvement to the testing process. So people who list at least 1 finger, or for them who bent more, this presentation is for you, because all of these cases can be really fixed by requirements testing if you use it correctly. So I propose to go quickly who I am, then to the topics, and we will start to open the Pandora box of requirements testing. So who I am? I'm still a student. Also, I am Dushnila, but it's kind of professional deformation. And about my career, I'm QA, QA lead, QA mentor, QA consultant, QA automation, and project manager, and PPM. But QA lead is my favorite part here. And also, I worked like a coordinator and lecturer and moderator of QA and QA automation academies. And today we will talk about requirements. We will first of all understand what requirements is, and then we will switch to the most common requirement description format. Then we will understand what we are looking for in requirements, or what can be requirement bugs. Then we will switch to smart criteria, which probably you've seen in some setting up goals or tasks, but for requirements testing, they work very well too. Then we will switch to requirements testing approach with some example. Then we will understand where can we place requirements testing, why requirements testing works all candidates, and how to sell your ideas to the management or to the customer. So let's start. So requirements, what are they? And for this point, I want to take the definition from the book. And here we have that requirements are specification of what must be implemented. There are description of how system should behave, or a system property or attribute. And also they can limit the development process. So today we will speak about requirements like documentation, which provides information which services our system provides and which functionality it has. And also we will discuss some acceptance criteria which limit your work. And here we have 2 common, most common format of requirements. So it's usually user story and use cases. So it can be upgraded in each project, but mainly the skeleton is the same. So user story usually based on acceptance criteria, so it's focused on it, and it has this format that as someone, I want to do something to have some benefit. And use case focus more on the user flows, and it's really hard to describe all acceptance criteria there. So the best thing which you can have in your project is collaboration of these 2 methods. But unfortunately, I hadn't such project, so I think that it's kind of a heaven if you have it in the collaboration. And let's start my pitch from this picture, which probably all of you have seen. And I don't want to highlight all of them, but it's how usually our project works. And here I need only 1 slide. It's not about documentation, it's about developers. If we have some developers in this meeting, please close your ears, because we will speak a little bit about you. So, dear case, probably you already created thousands of bugs based on some requirements which was fully detailed. And now just imagine or remember the situation when we had some missing point in the requirements. So yeah, in most cases, developers just miss these points. And it's totally okay because it isn't his work to think like end user and creating the requirements. But it's our work to create bug reports then and start this beautiful game of it's a bug, it's not a feature, and let's not create improvements, because improvements is highway to hell, but about this point we will speak a little bit later. And the next point in my pitch, it's about this point which you probably already know. It's about principle of testing and exact early testing. It's totally about requirements, and it totally works in the practice. So here we have the diagram how big can be a bug if we found it on the latest stage. So if we found bug in the specification, it's really easy to fix it, and we need to fix only specification. If you found a bug in the design, you already need to fix design and specification, which makes this bug bigger. And if we found a bug after code was implemented, it's already bigger bug, because as a QA you need to create, localize, and once again play this beautiful game with the developer, and also need to fix the code, design, and specification. And also we have this scary bug. It's like some painful point from releases, which we can have in our projects. And speaking about bugs, let's understand what requirement bug can be. And we have 5 most common categories here. It's first point, it's encoded dependencies. So it's about parameters. So let's create on the example. We have on our page 3 parameters. And we know that system will change her behavior if some parameters will collaborate with each other. So we have requirements how the first one should interact with the second one, and how the second one should interact with the third one. Probably you realize that we missed how the first one collaborate with the third one. And yeah, it will be a bug of requirement, and it will be category of counted dependencies. The second one, it's alternative flow in the business scenario, and I can say that it's most popular requirement bug which I had in my life. So it's about user flows and like some alternative flows which a user can do in our functionality. Also, let's create an example, and today I will create examples on food examples, because I guess it's the best way how you can explain everything, even in IT sphere. So, for example, we have food delivery application, and we're creating a checkout functionality. And here we have only 2 payment types. It's by cash and by, for example, online by card. So you don't have any information about promo codes or paying with the card when delivery guy arrived. And other competitors usually has this functionality. So we must ask about this functionality in our system, and probably it's okay for our application to not have such functionality, but we really must to ask about it. Why so? Because like each person is a human, and BA humans, customer human, developer humans, and QA humans also. So we can just miss something. And it's the reason why we should be near and why we work in the team, to just like help each other with such points. The next point is testability. So sometimes it's really hard or even impossible to test some functionality. And using this point, we need to find maybe proper tool for it, or maybe they will redone the functionality to be able to test it. So from my example, I had a project where we created really big CRM, and there were functionality of creating Excel and PDF reports using SQL and SQL parameters. And the goal of testing was to take 50 types of these documents and compare with the old system. So just imagine, you need to generate one report for the old system and one from the new, and check the data structure and the data which you have there. It's really hard or even impossible to do it manually. So we understood that it's not rocket science, and we found a lot of tools which helped with this thing. We just sent this list to the customer, and in 5 seconds we had all license for it. So it saved a lot of time for us, and we found a lot of bugs which probably we would miss if we hadn't such tools. So we understood it is in the really early stage, and it's really saved our time. The next point, we really need to check that there is no inconsistencies. And I guess it's the first point which you usually hear about requirements, that they shouldn't contradict other functionality. So the simplest question is just the color of the button. So for example, in the whole system you have red buttons, but in this page for some reason we have blue buttons. So it's inconsistency, and we should have one color for one button in the whole system. And more usual example for our life, it's mandatory fields. So for example, we have a system of 3 pages, and we know that the second and the first one take some information for the third one using some fields. When we have requirements for the third one, we understood that these fields, which like collaborate with the first and the second page, are not mandatory, so user can miss it. And in such case, our system will be broken because we just don't have any data there. So it's inconsistency, and once again, you need to ask about it, our business analyst. And the last point here, it's feeling like end user, so we need to think about general logic, how user feel when he use our system. So we need to have comfortable system, an understandable system, which will like solve some problem for the user. And there is a really beautiful book, Don't Make Me Think. I guess it's described in a really funny way and a simple way how to do the UX testing, and it's really useful to do it in your project. And I want to highlight what do we want from the analyst. So we usually test requirements during the preparation, some test documentation. But here I'm speaking about requirements analyzing. And usually if we do it in the special process, we have really deeper understanding of the business processes. So we understand like more user flows here, and we can find them. And also it's really easier for you to find all impact in the system, because you have this picture of the whole world, of the whole system, and it's better for you to find all bugs in the science testing, because you know where to find it. Like at this point, it's more suitable for a project without automation, but for automation testing, it's also really important. Let's look at the example, and here I will read the use case, and your task is to find all requirement bugs which you have there. So it's really high-level example, but let's just practice it a little bit. And I want to highlight that it's not my slide. It's a slide from one of the best QA leads that I have ever had. It's Irina Kuznetsova. Unfortunately, she doesn't work with data art, but yeah, she's the best QA lead ever. So use case is, I'm a bank user who already has an account and want to have the opportunity to change the password to get access to the personal account. And it has such fields, such as description, primary actors, precondition that user is registered, he has a login and password, and also we have trigger that user need to activate the change password functionality. And also we have main and alternative flow. So the main one, so that user activated the change password functionality, system shows the change in password pop-up, user enters their login, old password, new password, and once again the new password, and clicks on the change password button. And if data is correct, the system shows a notification that the password has been changed successfully. But if the data isn't correct, the system shows an error. And also we have strange exceptions that in the security settings, we have some ban for IP address, and there wouldn't be any possibility to open this pop-up. So do you see any bugs here? Okay, yeah, so the point was that we have security gaps, that we don't have any check that the current user changed the password. Great point. Let's do it with the raising of hands. Also great point. Yeah, so I said that we don't have validation if the old password is the same with the new password. Great point. You wanted to say something? Yeah, it's how it usually works. Great. Oh, really deep point. Great. Thank you. Any other? Okay, so the greatest point, yeah. So the point was that there is no validation of rules how password should look like. So yeah, look at some points. And the first point was about security gap, and this gap can be solved by second factor authentication. And yeah, usually bank apps, all bank apps have this point for all main functionalities. And it's main functionality, and it can deal with this gap. So we need to ask this question to the business analyst. Also, there is a question for this strange exception that we have some ban for IP address and we cannot open the pop-up. So it's strange and we don't know how to deal with it. What should be the next steps? Also, we have unclear flow that we don't know which page should be opened after the main flow. So when we change the password, if we need to relog in once again, or we will stay in the system and just continue working on it. Next point is unclear message. So we don't have any information about errors which we have. And we have two errors in this use case for invalid data and this exception. So we need to have like step by step how error should like, what should be there and where it should be. And the last point, I guess the main point here, is that we have main flow that user remember old passwords. But usually when we change the password, when we forget the old one. So we don't have any information how user can act if he forgets the old password. And I guess it's the main flow and we need to add it there. So once again, it was just high-level example how it works to show you how we can find requirement bugs. And let's first go through the smart criteria, which, as I already said, you probably seen in the setting goals and tasks. But for requirements testing, they show themselves very well. And yes, they have a lot of alternatives, and they are more atomic and accurate. But as for my experience, these 5 are enough. And as usual, smart criteria can help us to ask proper questions. So let's speak about it in this context. So from the specific one, you need to clear all ambiguities. Then also you need to have requirements which everyone will understand the same way. And you need to ask questions like what document, which document, where it should be, what should be there, etc. Measurable. It's point about the progress, and probably all of you know that it's really easier for you to work on some task which you can track the progress. And the main question here is like, how would I understand that I finished my work, and how I understand that I covered these requirements for 50% or 75%, for example. The next point is achievable. So we need to understand that we create some application, we don't create unicorns. And the main question here is if it's possible to implement or test its functionality, which is also really important. The next point is relevant. So we need to understand that this application is a business for someone, and it should be something which users really need. So the main question here is this really what user need? And the last point, it's timely, and it's about some time limit in your requirement. So usually we miss this point, and why do we need it? Because it's a really great idea to do the performance test manually. Like we'll speak about performance testing in the next presentation with a wonderful speaker, but manually you also can do some checks, and you need to understand which expected result you need to have. So for example, we have search and 1 million data in our system. So it's really hard for system to do it, and we need to understand which time maximum we need to spend on such search. And as I already said, usually we just reading requirements and asking questions. But to do it in the most useful and the proper way, you need to use some techniques. And there are a lot of them. For example, Kung Fu Panda one and some drawing, all of this thing. But today I want to tell you about points which I used in my project and which showed they very well. So let's go one by one. The first one, it's user flow diagram, and it's my favorite one. And it's a great point how you can visualize the whole functionality or just particular one. So you just create such a diagram for the whole epic, for the whole system, or you can use it for one exact functionality. And if you use for the epic, you will have the whole picture of the world. You will be able to understand all dependencies, and it will be easier for you to work with it. This diagram, like, you can use whatever format you want, because the main point of the diagram to help you with understanding the user flows, like, once again, or the impact, and ask proper questions. But I prefer this one when we have start and the end state. Also, we have actor, usually it's just user, and we have some condition which redirects you from one point to another. Let's go to the example, and once again, we will create examples on the foot. And I will read just the whole flow, and then we will switch to questions which I prepared. So yeah, once again, it's just a really high-level example, but I just want to show you how it works. So the cart page is opened, and user is authorized. It's our start point. Then user clicks on the Go to Payment button, and if user don't have any products in his cart, system shows an error that at least one product to the, like, we need to add at least one product to the cart. And also Go to Payment button is disabled. And if we have at least one product in the cart, the payment page is opened, and user has to choose the payment type. And here we have three payment types. It's POC terminal, but we don't have any description how it should work. Also, we have cash payment type, and if user chose this payment type, system shows a button confirm order. And when user presses this button, it redirects to the beautiful page with a lot of information and some status of our food. And also, user can choose the online by card payment, and after that, system shows the pop-up for card information. Then user add some info about his card and press the pay button, which also will redirect you to this beautiful page with the status of your food. And there are a lot of questions, but the first one which I want to start that we have here on the flow for authorized user. But usually competitors like has the functionality to like work with unauthorized user, and we need to ask about it to business analyst. The next point is about user feelings, and in this error and in this page with error, we don't have any possibility to go to the catalog in the right way. But if I go to the delivery application, I really want to eat something. And it will be really great if I have the easy way to go to the catalog and order some food. Also, we don't know where does the system take info about user address. Probably it will take this point from our account because we are authorized, but in general, we need to have the opportunity to change it because we can order food not to our home. And the next point, it's about promo code. So I guess everyone used the promo code like to buy free pizzas for 2 and such promo code, but like all competitors has such functionality, and we need to add it here. Also, this POC terminal payment type, still, we don't have any information about it. And other question is about card like payment type, because we don't have, once again, the second factor notification. And if I pay for someone food, I really want to know about it. And if there is no second factor notification, there will be some other cases. And also about business part, because here we don't have any information about card validation. I can use just my testing one, and I will pay for my food, and business will lose this money, which is not good. And also, general question, if user can cancel his order, and probably and usually it's another functionality. But if it's another functionality and we have it in another requirement, we need to link all of these requirements in the same place. Let's go to the next one, and I guess it's the simplest technique here. It's work without structure. And it's like simplest world, it's just like checklist for each flow which we have in the system. So you need to break functionality to some user flow, and then just write the high-level steps what user need to do to achieve this flow. And let's look at an example, the same application, the same functionality. And I want to highlight that all of these techniques like user flow diagram, work down structure, and prototyping, which we will discuss later, can help you with the test documentation, because you already have all cases and you just need to cover it with the test documentation. And also, as you can see from the picture, we have different color in our table. So because I usually use it for kind of a testability matrix. For example, blue one means that I have some questions about this flow and B haven't answered me. The yellow one means that I had some questions, but B already answered me. The green one means that I already covered this point with the test documentation. It doesn't matter if we had some questions there or not. And the white means that we just don't have any questions about this flow, but we didn't cover it with our test documentation. So yeah, if you use such techniques in this way, it can really help you with understanding the status of the exact point. It's not only for you, it's for the whole team, they can use it. And also it's a great point how you can add all of questions and collect them in one place. And here, small advertisement, unfortunately it's free, but I guess the best tool which you can use for such hacking is Mirrorboard, as you can see from the page. Because they have thousands of templates for user flows, for prototyping, and also they have this table mode for workdown structure. And it's really easy to collect all questions here. And in the business mode, you also can track it with Jira, which makes like your management life happier. And the next point, I guess it's the most time-consuming approach, and it works like that, exactly like that. So you just create the map of your application. So you show that when I click on this menu, I redirect to this page and have the screenshot of this page. Well, on this page, I can have some validation. So I will have some prints of our validation. And always, like not always, usually we have our design in Figma. And they have this beautiful mode of prototyping, which you can use for some demo. And it will be exactly on the, like how we had in the previous video, because you can just like say, when I click here, I need to redirect to the next page. And it will work really great, and it will be much more beautiful than you have in your system. And the next category, like the name of category, it's like it's usually not our work, but it's for quality level, and it works pretty the same as if you have on video. So it's like two approaches here. It's competitor analysis and workshop. Let's start for the second one, and yeah, like I know that everyone will say that it's not our work, but sometimes it's a really good idea to go to the like other applications which have the same functionality and look at their features and look on the user flow. Why so? Because you can find some user flow which you missed in your system, and probably it will be great to pitch it to your business analyst or to the customer. And the first one, let's first of all discuss what it is. Well, what is this workshop? So workshop is a meeting where a product owner or customer tells your team what they want to be implemented, and usually answered some PA questions. And on one project, we understood that we have a lot of questions, like 1,000 questions to our business analysts, and we spent a lot of time have answers for all of these questions. So we wanted to be one step ahead, and we sent our KAs to such workshops to ask questions about KA part. And this method showed itself really well because we did as early testing as possible. So we worked on the requirement fees just in the customer head. And we create user flow in the online format and ask a lot of questions about testability and other points which working with KA part. And then we just started sending a lot of keys to such meetings to ask questions about their part. But I want to highlight that at this point, it's not silver bullet. And for some projects and for some companies, it wouldn't work. But in general, in some projects, it can help you. So just keep this approach in mind. And I guess you think that it's really hard to do all of this thing, but spoiler, it's not. Yeah, we don't have any information about deadlines and what we need to do, like and when and how to deal with management. Today I will speak about Scrum and Scrum methodology, so we don't take safe and waterfall. So the ideal and the best point how we can use requirements testing, it's put it at the first point. So when the requirement just was written by business analyst and they even wasn't checked by technical specialists, you need to look at them. Like there are a lot of points we can bring there because you can affect the scope, you can affect approach, and so on and so on. And another great point that you will have a lot of time for test planning. And only after that, we will create the test documentation, do the testing, and then a really important point to do the results analysis. So my approach is always do a step back, understand what you did well, what you did wrong, and so on. because I guess there is always a way which you can do better and how you can do better. Let's talk about why requirements testing worth all candies. So the first one, it's about estimations, and estimates which you have in your projects. Because usually our question trigger a lot of like investigation of this application, and sometimes really can affect some approaches and the estimation of this current story. So for example, in my life, like I just came to project and they gave me the functionality to test. It was really complicated, and then I just started my working activities with the creating of user flows. And I found that we missed really important user flows there. I just said it to the business analyst, and business analyst asked the customer about it. And customer just said, so, without this functionality, I even don't want this functionality to be implemented. So we already spent 2 months here. And as far as I remember, this functionality just came to me in these 6 months after this point, because we understood that to do this exact flow, we need to change the approach, we need to change the code and some other things, and we need to use new technologies. So we could change it, and we could save at least 2 months, and we could affect the estimation. So yeah, this point is connected to the second one, that we save not only the team's time, but also yours. Because usually just to create bug, it's much easier to work with a lot of improvements and like other things, and even create the bug report for the code issue. It's much harder than just create bug for requirements. The next point is minimizing the risk that we might miss something. So yeah, as I already said, if you test requirements, you understand the business logic in the better way. So you probably will not miss any user flow there, or you will be minimizing risk of it. And also, once again, you understand the impact and you understand the whole functionality, so it will be easier for you to find some regression bugs. And the last point, it's about improvements. And yeah, I guess it's not a secret that improvements are much harder than to implement than bugs. And there are a lot of criteria that usually improvement, it's another story, and we do it in some time later. And we will switch between functionalities. Like it will be another PR from the developer, we can break something. Also, as a key part, we will need to change the test documentation if you already prepared, and BA need to create some new requirements in some other place. So usually it's connected to that it's really hard to find the source of truth in the future, because it's really impossible to keep in mind all improvements which you have in your project. And also improvements move the schedule, so it makes managers angrier. And the last point for today, I want to speak how to sell your ideas to the management. And first of all, in all your pitch, you need to understand that each person, each department has their own important point, like you see in the video. So for managers, for example, it's usually some budgets and story points. For customer, it's quality, and budget also can be budget. So we will build our pitch based on these important points, and we will create example of requirements testing certain approach, but like it's the same for all other improvements. Let's start with adding issue root cause field to the bug reports. It's really great to understand why you have all this bug and where you have the weakest point. Then we need to focus on the requirements testing field, and also we need to collect the statistic. So it can be this pie chart, or it can be other charts to show the dynamic. But like about test metrics, I also have another wonderful presentation today. So I guess another speaker will tell you more. And the last point, yeah, so today we speak about two usual situations. It's the first one when you came with some idea and your management say, okay, you can do it. And the second one, it's when they just decline it, so we don't have time, we don't have budget, and so on and so on. So you collect these metrics, and it's really great to transform them to these important points which they have. So if like we show the statistic to the first guy which approved us, it's really also important and great point to show him the result of his right decision. Because if you like if he affected your team and he makes your life better and his projects works much better now, he needs to know about it, and he knows, understand that it's in his important points. Because like in the future, it can help you because other points will be much easier to prove them, to pitch them, and so on. And the last point here is about the second situation when they declined all your ideas. So you just need to show these metrics. For example, we have a lot of requirements back. We have a lot of improvements, and it's move your schedule, and then transform it to the important points for them. And here I need to highlight that you don't need to blame your BA team. So you don't need to say that we have terrible BA and we have a lot of requirements bugs. No, we are quality assurance engineers, and we need to work on quality. So requirements is also a part of our project. It's our work to find all of these things. So usually they just approve your approach because they understood that their metrics are bad and they need to fix it. But if they decline it once again, it's a great point to offer them the MVP of this process. So they will not lose anything, and probably they will win something. What MVP means in such directory? We will add only part of our team to such action. For example, we have 5K, and we can send only 1K doing some new things. And once again, other team will continue creating metrics and so on and so on. So they will not lose anything, and probably they will win, which is also great not only for you, but also for them. And usually they just agree on the VP, and then they decide that it's a great approach, and then they just approve the whole process. So what we have in the end? With the help of testing requirements, we will have a complete understanding of the system. With the help of technology or approaches, we will easily track what is covered and what is not. Also, it will take less time to find affected functionality, and there will be less improvement, which is really great. So you will have time to refine the processes that make your and your manager's life happier, which means it will be easier to sell them some improvements to our projects.